Welcome into the Miami Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nick Roloff, and on today's show, we are reacting to some of the reactions of Heat Nation after Damian Lillard has been traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks got Jrue Holiday, or the Bucks sent Jrue Holiday, plus 1 first-round picks in getting Damian Lillard. And I'm honestly just in a disarray. I'm filming this on the day of Damian Lillard getting traded to the Bucks. These are the trade details. Jrue Holiday heads to the Blazers. DeAndre Ayton goes to the Blazers. Toumani Camara from Dayton, he's a rookie, goes to the Blazers. The Blazers get 1 first-round pick, 2 swaps. Suns play facilitator. But we are reacting to you guys after Damian Lillard gets traded to the Bucks and not the Miami Heat. And the first question comes in from Amigo and says, do you like a Jrue Holiday trade for Young Guns, #Heat? And it is fascinating because if you actually take back the clock and go back in time a little bit, before Jrue Holiday was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks and before he helped them get a championship, the Heat were actually rumored to want Jrue Holiday. And I always thought a Jrue Holiday addition to Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo would actually be a really good one. Why? Because what do the Heat predicate themselves on? Toughness, grittiness, and two-way ability. Jimmy Butler embodies that. Bam Adebayo embodies that. You know who does embody that? Jrue Holiday. I think Holiday would be a good addition to this Heat team. Now, it would require us talking to the Portland Trail Blazers, and I don't know if anyone wants to go back down that lane. And it would be objectively hilarious, if we're just going to be honest, if the Heat and Blazers made a trade this offseason, but it was not for Damian Lillard, and it was Holiday coming to Miami. What would the Blazers want? Maybe it's Jaime Jaquez and 2 first-round picks. But if you were to convince me on that, and now you're talking about a starting lineup that is Jrue Holiday, Tyler Hero, Bam, Jimmy, and then maybe Kevin Love, I think you can convince me that is the second best team in the Eastern Conference. Shout out to Major Anthony Nelson, a real one from the live stream. So why don't we trade for James Harden? Interesting. Who would you throw in to acquire James? Maybe that's the key to winning the championship. So I'll say this. I have been very critical of James Harden of his entire career because I've never believed that he plays winning basketball. He shrivels up and chokes in the biggest moments. He is not and he used to be a isolation scorer. Now we saw in Philadelphia his ability to be the playmaker, the facilitator for others. And I will say this, a pick and roll featuring James Harden and Bam Adebayo would be very deadly. But are you willing to bet on Harden being a part of the Heat culture, the defense in the playoffs? And when you play in Miami, you have to show up in the biggest moments. Would James Harden be able to do that? He has never done that his entire career. So that's why I am skeptical of James Harden. But when you ask what would they have to trade to get Harden, I don't think it would be much. What I just mentioned for Jrue Holiday, I think could be very similar to what they would do for Harden. It could be a Jaime Jaquez Jr. and 1 first-round pick because Harden's situation in Philly is messy. They're not getting an extension. You're not trading Tyler Hero to Philadelphia, and I'll tell you why. Because Hero and Maxey in the backcourt would just be a complete disaster for Philadelphia. And I would assume that they would want something else other than a scoring guard who thinks score first because they have that in Tyrese Maxey. So maybe it would be Jaime Jaquez Jr., maybe it would be Caleb Martin. If I had to throw out a trade for James Harden, I'd want to get PJ Tucker back in Miami to be your starting power forward because the last time Tucker was in Miami was very successful and the Heat had one of the best defenses in the league. So if you want to convince me on a Jaquez, Caleb Martin, and 1 or 2 first-round picks for Harden, PJ Tucker, I could be convinced. But I'll ask you guys this. And I've lost all confidence in Pat Riley. But do you trust what Pat Riley is doing? Type T for trust, type D for don't. Let me know in the comment section. It's hard to trust Pat Riley, the Godfather, anymore after he fumbled Damian Lillard, who was basically begging to play for the Miami Heat. So over to Maya's world now. Is there any other point guards the Heat can trade for? So I think there's a couple point guards the Heat can trade for. 2 of them we already mentioned. James Harden, Jrue Holiday are obviously at the top of that list that of available point guards you could actually trade for. Another point guard I want to throw out there that isn't high profile, Landry Shamet. There's been reported interest in the past. I think Shamet would be a really good backup point guard to Kyle Lowry. You'd probably only have to offer second-round picks for Shamet because he's not the biggest type of player in the league. but he is someone who can shoot 38, 39, 40% from three and handle the rock as your second point guard. And the Heat need shooting, and Landry Shamet can definitely fill that. I wouldn't hate going for Shamet, but when you talk about making a big-time addition that would have been Damian Lillard, the only 2 point guards that would be splashy are James Harden and Jrue Holiday. There's rumored interest in Jrue Holiday. Harden's probably very unlikely, so maybe you're just thinking Jrue Holiday. You know what is a big-time addition? And it is the fact that Prize Picks have come along to sponsor the Heat Report, and it is today's sponsor. If you love sports, you have to head over to Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America and is available to play in 31 states. Instead of battling other sharks and pros in the game, you can pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. I've had so much fun testing my skills during this football season, and I can't wait till the NBA season arrives. If you have similar skills to mine, which probably you don't, you can turn to $10 into $250 with just a few taps with the most exciting daily fantasy app on the planet. If you want to tell me, I have some selections that I think are going to bode very well for this upcoming season. I took more than 26 points per game for Anthony Edwards. I took more than 21.8 points per game for Paolo Banchero. And I rounded out my selections and picks with Bam Adebayo more than 9.3 rebounds a night. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Let's go to CCK here. What are your top 3 favorites for next season? I assume you're talking for the NBA season in totality. I think if I had to pick my 3 favorites, it would be very difficult to not put the Denver Nuggets 1. They are just coming off a championship. They lost Bruce Brown, but to me, that's not as big of a loss as other people would like to think it is. You still got Aaron Gordon. You still have Michael Porter Jr. I'd have Denver 1. I'd have Milwaukee Bucks 2 with Damian Lillard, Giannis, Brook Lopez, and Chris Middleton. That is the best 4-man crew in the league. And then the third team, I'd probably have it be the Phoenix Suns because having Book, KD, and now they got rid of Ayton for Yusuf Nurkic, but they also got Grayson Allen in that deal, which is a sneaky, sneaky pickup. Rafi the GOAT with a question, do you think the Heat will make the playoffs this year? I do. Now, I've been critical of Pat Riley for not getting Dame done because you were only the 8th seed last year, and you almost lost to the Bulls in the play-in. And if it wasn't for Max Strus dropping 30-plus in that game, you probably would have lost and not made the playoffs. So there is skepticism, I should say, but I do think Tyler Hero being healthy, him being motivated to bounce back from not being able to play in the postseason. He's heard his name in trade talks. He's going to come motivated this year. He wants a chance to prove to the Heat fans and the Heat organization that he can be just as good as some of the guys the Heat have put him in in a trade package for. You also have Nikola Jovic making a presence on this team. I think he will be good. I think Jaime Jaquez Jr. will be a nice solid addition off the bench. You're assuming Caleb Martin takes another step up and plays in the regular season like he did in the postseason. And I'll say this. We lost Gabe Vincent. We lost Max Strus. Max Strus is not as big of a loss as you think. Because I think Duncan Robinson, if he's on this roster, will actually be better than Max Strus was. Because I liked that Duncan refound his confidence last postseason, and I believe he will be fine. And also, adding Josh Richardson is a much bigger deal than what people realize. He is a good three-point shooter who shoots 38% from three. He's also a really good two-way player, has experience in the Heat system, has experience handling the rock. Do I trust him to be the backup point guard? Not really, but I do like what Josh Richardson brings to the table. And even though I thought it was absolutely necessary to add Lillard to this roster, I do think the Heat roster right now is actually better than the one they played with in the NBA Finals. Corey with a question, should have just signed Christian Wood and Kelly Oubre when they had a chance. And that's definitely the balance, right? Like, it was very much out in the open that the Heat did not want to make a move before Damian Lillard's situation was, like, finally done with, right? Like, if they traded for Dame and then Wood and Oubre were still available, they probably would have signed him. But they didn't want to make roster moves before they had clarity on the Damian Lillard trade situation. So I understand them passing on it, but that just goes back to the point of why this deal needed to be done. You missed out on so many free agents. You missed out on Bradley Beal because you were hoping Dame would request a trade and you would pounce then. And Pat Riley sat back and did not be aggressive enough, did not overpay for Damian Lillard. And I get not overpaying for a 33-year-old point guard, but you have to, and I thought you needed to, capitalize on Jimmy Butler's window that is right now, that he's 34, doesn't have that many years left of prime, and that playoff performer that we see every year. You don't have a lot of years. You don't know when that's going to go down. You needed to get Dame and make this a championship contending team right now. I covered the Heat all offseason long. Damian Lillard watch was fully on display. But I'll tell you this right now, it's not going to stop. We're still going to cover the Heat all season long. We're going to do watch parties. We're going to talk trade rumors. We're going to talk everything Miami Heat basketball, provide you with the best analysis on YouTube when it comes to your Miami Heat. So hit that sub button. You won't want to miss it. Real Bando Bataku. Cooper Flagg should be our main target. No way we're talking Cooper Flagg right now. I do respect it, though. I got to be honest. Cooper Flagg, if you don't know who he is, he's the #1 high school player. He doesn't know where he's going to school quite yet, and he's probably not going to be an NBA draft eligible player for another, 2 to 3 seasons, probably 2025 or 2026. I think 25, 26. Shout out producer Patrick Seatman. Cooper Flagg is going to be a stud, yes, but the fact that we're somewhat thinking about drafting players 2 years down the line, it's a little bit concerning. Blair McFarland, what's the next big move for Miami? How long will it take? All right, this is a great question, and I actually think I could spend some time on this, right? The next big move, if you're saying big move, I don't know the answer to that question. If you're thinking next move, I think Buddy Hield could be a move. Jrue Holiday can be a move. And I think my #1 thing that I want the Heat to do right now, sure, there will be interest on Jrue Holiday. If we don't go to Jrue Holiday route, that's fine with me because you're probably going to have to offer a lot. But what you can offer is Duncan Robinson and 2 second-round picks to the Indiana Pacers for Buddy Hield. Adding Buddy Hield as a 4th option is very, very dangerous. You're now going to have an excellent offensive backcourt. There is going to be defensive issues and questions, but you're going to have one of the best shooting backcourts in the NBA in Hero and Buddy if you were to get that trade done. And you still have Jimmy and Bam. And Hield can isolate score too. Like, common misconception around the league is that Buddy Hield is just an elite shooter and that's how he scores. Nah, Hield can take you off the dribble, give you a nice little between the legs ISO move, get to the cup or take a step back contested 3 and hit them. He averaged 8.5 3-pointers this past season and shot 42.5% from 3. Dude's a sniper. So I actually think the next move for the Miami Heat should be going out and trying to trade for Buddy Hield. Now, will they do it? I don't know, but that's what I am absolutely hoping. The next big move, and we're not going to like this, but it's going to be Anthony Edwards. That's going to be the one that maybe Pat Riley has his eyes on because Edwards has been very outspoken about how much he liked working with Eric Spoelstra during Team USA this past summer. He likes the Heat culture. And Anthony Edwards with Bam Adebayo would be one hell of a duo. Now, you're not going to see him ask out for another 2 to 3 years probably, which means what do we do in the meantime? He is a long-term play. Maybe someone that is going under the radars, Donovan Mitchell round 2, because there's been rumors about D-Mitch not signing an extension with Cleveland. The Knicks are expected to be a team very interested in him, but maybe the Heat do because Donovan Mitchell has a very good relationship with Bam Adebayo. They're really close friends, and maybe they can swing for D-Mitch next offseason. That's maybe the next one. So if I had to give you my final answer, I think it's Buddy Hield before this season starts. If you're talking next offseason, Donovan Mitchell. If you're talking really deep down the line, it is Anthony Edwards. That's going to do it for today's show. As always, I like to close things out with a nice little sub-read because I want you guys to be the most informed Heat fan on the planet. I want to grow this Heat channel. We're going to be doing watch parties all season long. We're going to be the most interactive YouTube page for Heat fans on the market. So join the channel, hit the sub button. I'll cover the Heat better than anyone on YouTube.